Good day, Black Knight scholars. Mr. Deegan here once again for Unit 9, Lesson 5. We're going to be talking today about India, Africa, and the Middle East. Do y'all smell that? That is the smell of the very last VidNotes video of the year. You have reached the last. Congratulations. Today we'll be talking about Africa and Nelson Mandela, India and Mohandas Gandhi, and how the Middle East modernizes and becomes independent. British policies and India's demand for self-rule led to the rise of the India independence movement. A reminder, India was a colony owned by Britain from 1612 to 1947. In other words, for about 330 years, Britain owned not only India, but all of these neighbors of India: Pakistan to the west, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka to the east. The Republic of India, a democratic nation, developed when the country gained independence in 1947. And here is the Indian flag as it stands today. What was the partition of India after 1947? It was a religious conflict that led to fighting between Pakistan in green, here West Pakistan and East Pakistan, and Pakistanis were Muslims, versus other Indians who were largely Hindus. And this conflict led to Pakistan becoming a separate country. Today, India is the largest democratic country in the world with about 1.2 billion citizens. Here's New Delhi, a very large city in India. Today, 80% of Indians practice Hinduism, 14% worship Islam, and 2% Christianity. And here is another example of how India has become a very crowded place, especially its largest cities. Also, India has 29 states with more than 20 regional languages spoken. And here you see a map that shows all of the different states numbered from 1 to 29. India's diversity makes it challenging to run and organize a democracy with so many different religions and languages and ideas. But it still is a democracy. How did India become free in the first place? The Indian National Congress was a group that helped independence happen. It was founded in 1885. The Indian National Congress fought to end British rule and to have free elections. The Indian National Congress was 15 million members strong in the early 1900s. And here is a photograph of the very first meeting of the Indian National Congress way back in 1885. India became free because of good leaders. Here is Jawaharlal Nehru next to his friend Mohandas Gandhi. They were both important leaders of the Indian National Congress. Let's talk more about Mohandas Gandhi. Here he is. And he believed in two nonviolent forms of protest: civil disobedience, the refusal to obey a law intentionally to prove a point, and passive resistance, protesting a law publicly. And Gandhi was famous for his many protests, his hunger strikes, and this, Gandhi's Salt March. It was a 24-day march in India in March 1930, and it was a protest against how Britain was taxing Indians for its use of salt. And this event was publicized worldwide, and many around the world became sympathetic to Indians' fight for independence. And here you see Gandhi picking up a grain of salt at the very end of his march. Martin Luther King visits India in 1959. He was very public about his admiration for Mohandas Gandhi. This is what he says: "Since being in India, I am more convinced than ever before that the method of nonviolent resistance is the most potent, meaning powerful, weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for justice and human dignity." So Mohandas Gandhi influences the American civil rights movement in the 1960s, and its most important leader, Mr. King. Jawaharlal Nehru. Who is this man? He was important because of his accomplishments. He became the first prime minister of an independent India. He helped write India's 1950 constitution that wanted to prohibit, to ban, the caste system discrimination that was in India. If you were in the upper castes, you were considered royalty and better in society. If you were part of the lower castes of India's society, then you were considered the untouchables. You were somehow tainted. Well, Nehru wanted to get rid of that. Nehru also supported Western-style industrialization. He wanted to bring factories to India to create more jobs. And today, thanks in part to this man, Nehru, India is the 7th wealthiest country in the world, according to GDP measurements. We can't forget India's Iron Lady, Indira Gandhi. She was in power in India from 1966 until 1984. What did she accomplish? First, she was Nehru's daughter. She was the first female prime minister of India. And she formed a closer relationship between the Soviet Union and India during the Cold War. And she was responsible for creating India's nuclear weapons program, which made India a force to be reckoned with on the world stage.